Taxi drivers, what's the deepest secrets you've overheard in your car? I carried 2 medical professionals once and one of them talked to his colleague about that time he was kindly kidnapped out of the hospital by 2 guys that took him to a mansion outside the city and asked to examine the heart condition of a man who seemed to be a local mafia boss that was wanted from the law. They somehow provided him with all the tools and help and made him operate the boss. They finally let him go and paid him with a big sum of cash, saying they would contact him again for anything else. He said it was of the scariest yet most interesting experiences in his life. And people who work in hospitals apparently have some mad orgies off duty. A 50-year-old man admitted to me that he doesn't know how to cook and doesn't have the time to do it, so he'll sneak out late at night to get leftovers from his mother's house. I work Uber Black in Los Angeles. Picked up a customer around midnight from a flight from Mexico to Lax. Had 2 stops. First stop he waited for some compadres who loaded 5 duffel bags in my SUV. Second stop was from LA to San Jose. 6-hour drive. After $2,500 fare and $400 tip, I never dared ask what was in those bags. Taxi rider here. Climbed into the back of a cab once and found an empty carton of cigs, an empty bottle of rye and an open box for a pregnancy test. Someone had a very rough night. When a girl told me she taunted her gay longtime friend to try out having straight sex with her just to find out the difference as she herself is bisexual. The guy finally gave in and liked it. They did so one more time and that's it. Sad part is that she just found out the guy's now going out with her best friend and is now swearing to be straight. She regrets having converted him to straight and now doesn't know whether she's jealous of them or truly in love with him. Asked for my advice on how to break them up without being judged. An 18-year-old lad, regular customer, was stressing over his exam results and told me seriously if he'd failed that his life was over and he would commit suicide. He was completely serious. Apparently his parents had been putting string pressure on him. I brought him home and called his father out of the house. By this time the poor lad was in tears. I said to him that he should tell his dad what he told me. By this time the father was distraught. I let them both talk for a bit right there and then the father got him out of the car and brought him inside. The update was that he told his parents the whole story. They were horrified and got him into therapy. I've no idea whether he passed the exams or not, but I do know he was alright afterwards. I was very shook up about it. The situation could easily have gone wrong and I take no credit at all. I worked incident support for a kinda shouldn't name right company that rhymes with Shuba. It tended to be either rider complaining a driver did X to them or a driver complaining a rider threw up in their car, etc. This one dude called incident support to tell us that following picking up a fare, a dude with 2 huge duffel bags in the boot his car was written off and therefore couldn't work with the aforementioned car. Turned out the dude had gotten a ride at 2 AM, put the duffel bags in the trunk, told the driver he'd done something he really regretted but couldn't go back on, took the ride to an underpass with a river and threw the duffel bags into the river. Driver called the police first, mostly to tell them a dude was being weird as hell. After a brief search of the river for the bags, the police found Ryder's murdered cut up girlfriend in the bags. The smell was so bad in the car that the cleaning crew couldn't remove the smell or stains after the police forensics exam. The insurance company wrote off the car. Edit. Thank you for the silver stranger. Edit 2. Whoa. This blew up while I slept. Thanks for the awards. To answer a common reaction, I'm afraid I can't give you the direct article because it's still an active case both for company and the police. I'd lose my job and mama need that pay. My office handles 2 countries, one's a direct safety line, the other is incident response. If you're in sleuth and read my comments you can probably work out what country. The second reaction was how stupid was this dude. As far as I know he didn't even think about getting a ride to the bridge or complaining along the way. The driver doesn't think he thought at all about the consequences of doing so. Disabled person so get a lot of taxes. Some regulars into work. Got clothes. One driver told me to keep secret that he was dying with cancer, kept blacking out with the pain and meds and half convinced he should get it over with and swerve into oncoming traffic. He was very erratic in his driving and looked pretty ill. Nice guy though, so didn't snitch and he regularly drove me. I was young and therefore immortal. Uber driver. I pick a dude up from a strip club, a well-known local celebrity. His drop-off is an affluent neighborhood in the foothills. As I pull into the driveway, a half-naked middle-aged woman in lingerie is standing by the garage. He says this is close enough, so I stop about 20 yards from the woman. She cracks a whip and points to the ground at her feet. This dude gets out and on hands and knees in his Armani suit starts crawling toward her. She cracks the whip again and points at me. You're next. Edit. I was not next. I am married. Equals. I used to drive for Uber for about a year. Never had any crazy secrets. The craziest ride I had was after this kid who in his late teens and needed a ride on Thanksgiving evening after he got beat up by his dad and brother. His dad came out of the house and stood in front of the car. I backed out of there with the kid and took him an hour and a half away from there to his GF's house. I felt bad for the kid. Apparently he was trying to reconnect with his estranged family and it apparently didn't work out. I'm just glad I could get him to a safe place. Other than that, the main things I dealt with were a lot of drunk people leaving bars. I worked a late shift on weekends when people were out partying. I saw so many bachelor and bachelorette parties. I would get offers to come smoke weed up, do lines, go watch strippers at bachelor parties, offers of booze, flirting, etc. Never took up any of those offers as I was out there in a professional setting to make money. I did enjoy hearing about people's lives and talking to them for a while, and it made me feel good that I could provide a safe ride for people and help to keep some drunk drivers off the road. Used to drive for Uber. Would chill at my condo, wait for a ride to ding, pick up. One ding I got was really close. A pickup scheduled from my own complex. I pop down, turn on the car, pull it out. My neighbor walks down, girl in her 20s. She's with her friend, and spent a significant portion of the ride talking about how she's cheating on her boyfriend. Two guys talking freely about their scam op and going into the specifics of how to get the most out of it. The scam has something to do with cars and I can't remember what it was, I just remember them saying that it got them around $20 mil. I got a lift to take me to the hospital where my best friend was dying because I was too distraught to drive. Driver didn't accept my request that I really wasn't up for small talk, so I basically answered everything he asked with I don't know. I just found out my best friend is dying and can't really think about anything else. We were almost to our destination when the driver pulled into the wrong lane, against oncoming traffic. I screamed a lot. Miraculously we didn't get into a collision. It took 6 months for Lyft to refund my fare. Used to Uber on the side, here in Ottawa. Honestly, one could surveil both business and government here while driving an Uber if they wanted to. You could run 3 drivers and get intelligence about just a ton of things happening night and day. I definitely heard a ton of things, but the one that got me was about businesses closing and firing every one of its 200 employees months before it happened. It sucked for me when that one hit the news. I was there when they made the decision. Sweet things happened too. A woman had a fun dinner with her best friend and got in the passenger side first and said to me, "Watch this. I just found out I'm pregnant today. Going home to tell my husband, but she's going to be the first to know, after me." Full stop. Full stop. Question mark, oh my god. That's right, you're the first I've told. I'm totally freaking out right now. It's cool. No big deal. Anyway, 5 minutes later they're joking about it with me and she asks me my name. I tell her and she's like, it was between that and Andrew for the middle name. This is a sign. It has to me. My name, what if it's a girl? She'll be a badass with a male middle name like Michael Burnham. Coolest, sweetest conversation of my life. How a guy gambled away his house payment for the month and didn't know how to tell his wife. A pregnant girl going to a side piece's house for the night saying it might be the last time for a while. You know, I had so many jobs. I was a dishwasher, waiter and cook, laborer and bricklayer, mechanic's assistant. A typical handyman. But now I want to tell you about when I was a taxi driver. One day a young man approached me and said, "Hey driver. Step on the gas. So long without seeing her, I can't take it anymore. Pull over please, I'm going to buy flowers for my love, and I went driving at his command, and him singing, whistling with his flowers. As soon as we arrived at the address, he told me to wait for him and ran in to look for her. After a few minutes, that lion that I was carrying as a passenger came back, turned into the smallest mouse, and he told me, "Hey driver. Go again. I made a mistake. This isn't the street. Tell me where far from here, go without asking." And I went driving, and crying with his flowers. I continued driving, and he was throwing away pretty flowers. Former Uber driver. Picked up a very well-dressed lady from one side of town heading to a very rich neighborhood on the other side of town. During the ride, she made a series of calls and it became clear she was a cool girl with quite a few customers. It also became clear I was delivering her to her biggest client, an accident and injury attorney known for extremely extensive advertising in my local area. Anybody around here would know his name. And he was supposed to be married and the whole family man type. Well, my passenger indicated otherwise. His house was a very nice mansion. Law must pay well. I got in a taxi around 15 years ago with my best mate and we were so drunk. We were having a laugh with the driver and told him like so many secrets. Who we were dating, mischief we'd got up to in clubs, stuff we did at work, well you get the drill. Nothing bad, just silly 18-year-old. The driver was so chatty and kept encouraging us. When we went to pay and get out, we was like, "Do you know so and so?" Yeah we did. We worked with this woman, and it turned out it was his sister. He told her everything. We were mortified and I never told a taxi driver another secret again. I do this backwards. When I need to know secrets, I keep taking cabs and asking the driver. Usually takes about a day. Usually I'm asking about the sale price of plots of land or houses in different parts of a city. I'm not some real estate tycoon or anything, just someone trying to afford to build a home. This is in Southeast Asia. Where I live, real estate markets are pretty opaque and hard to gather info on, but real estate agents take a lot of cabs and speak freely around the driver. Sometimes I found someone with enough verifiable info and hired them for a couple of weeks. Pre-Uber, working for a limo service. Pick up this woman from the hotel to drive to airport. She literally doesn't say a word to me the whole time, which is fine, but didn't even acknowledge me at any point, just talking biz on the phone the whole time. I can't help but overhear that her company represented avocado growers and she had been in town to listen to two advertising pitches. One wanted to do radio spots using the zombies time of the season. The other agency wanted to do actual ads on TV. She made it clear on the phone that her company was going with the second agency who wanted to do TV. So, I dropped her off at the airport. Never acknowledges me. Fare tip were prepaid. I admit I'm thinking what a bitch to a certain extent as I head back to the same hotel for another airport run. This time it's two business guys getting in. Very friendly, asking me questions. Turns out they work for an ad agency that had just pitched avocado ads. Radio ads in fact, using the zombies time of the season lol. They were very optimistic about their chances. Oh yeah I say? That's funny because I just drove the person you guys pitched to the airport. Really? They say. Did she indicate one way or another which way they were gonna go? Listen guys, I say. I hate to break it to you but you didn't get the job. She'd got very quiet and of course later they called her to complain, bitch, whatever, and it somehow came out that the limo driver was the same for both rides and it was me that spilled the beans. She was irate. Luckily my friend owned the company and when she called adamant that I'd be fired he just humored her. Not the most discreet moment of my life lol. Flip side of the coin. Uber driver once told me and my so that she had been the victim of satanic ritual abuse as a child. She was nice enough but clearly a little unbalanced and either looking for attention or a legitimate product of all satanic panic nonsense back in the day. I've worked for Uber and once a passenger, a clearly intoxicated lady, told me she should have married her brother-in-law, cause her husband had a tiny big dig and was much less handsome, But because the husband was also far richer, she married him. I hope she doesn't remember she told me that. She's probably mortified to this day if she does.